we're gonna really look in this next session to surface some different perspectives on what drives parents and what drives kids and how we can think differently about how we design programs and formulate programs, run our organizations with them in mind. So first to the stage, please welcome Skye Eddy. Skye's an active youth coach and coach educator working daily to make youth soccer better. She's founder of Soccer Parenting and the Sideline Project. Known Skye for a little bit of time now, so it's wonderful to have you back up here on the stage. Nathan Holm, the founder and CEO of LnUp, a company that's helping athletes become creators and monetizing their own personal brand. And then finally, Rodrigo Gomes, a former professional volleyball player turned entrepreneur, devoted his career to promoting sports, president and CEO of Northern Virginia Volleyball Association, as well as Youth Sports Management Academy. Hello. All right, we're gonna jump right in. Maybe let's just start with a very brief summary, keep it short, of what you do and why you all are up here on the stage with us as experts in your respective fields.
Excellent, thanks. So I am the founder of Soccer Parenting. We believe that collaborative relationships with appropriate boundaries between coaches, parents, and players is in the best interest of player development, that parents will be difference makers when it comes to improving the game, and that engaging parents is an essential step if we want to improve youth soccer. So we've created an education platform for parents that clubs are using as a tool to establish trust and create some agency for parents within their organizations. And then I'll tell you about the Sideline Project later.
Nathan?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Nathan Holm, and LnUp, we work right now at the local level, connecting businesses and brands with athletes and exploring, with these changes with NIL, what are new opportunities to create a better experience at a local level for both the business and the athlete? I came into this space from, like most people here, I've been a sports parent. I was an athlete, sports parent. I coached from youth through college. I had the privilege of being part of the leadership of Upward Sports, a national youth sports organization, and leading through some changes there. And I've been an entrepreneur, so this is a really exciting time as things continue to change. I love being in this space and hearing from all of you.
Good morning, everybody. Rodrigo Gomes. I'm from Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So I'm going to try to enunciate my words. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, please raise your hand. I'm the CEO of the Northern Virginia Volleyball Association. And Northern Virginia Volleyball Association is, in Virginia, the largest volleyball organization. And long story short, it was an organization that was losing $300,000 a year. And 10 years later, now we have 15 employees and 30,000 members. And I'm the founder of the Youth Sports Management Academy, which is an organization that helps organizers to be able to go to a program and hopefully understand my story of 10 years and how I turned Northern Virginia Association from losing money to surviving and doing well.
Thriving.
And thriving. And bringing new employees in, and now we are very proud of what we did.
Wonderful. Skye, I want to start with you, and it's a simple question, but I am sure it is not a simple answer. How do sports organizations deal most effectively with parents?
That is a long-winded answer, but an incredibly important one. Foundational to the work that we do at Soccer Parenting, where we began, is trust and is establishing trust. And so I think for us to think about the pervasive lack of trust that exists in youth sports due to potentially the environments that we've created in some cases, and we owe some responsibility to improving that. But I think if we can be thoughtful and intentional about establishing trust within the ecosystems between parents, coaches, referees, officials, that's the first step.
So give me a specific example of like how a coach or a sports organization would take a step towards building that trust with a parent.
Yeah, so we've created this environment that exists. I have heard so much this weekend or these last couple days about parents, and there's this negative vibe that persists about parents, and that's extremely unfortunate. In many ways, we've created the environment by intentionally unengaging with parents, by going out of our way to avoid parents. And we all know those stories, and we understand that there are some crazy soccer parents. But I think we need to start by asking ourselves what we believe to be true about parents and with the realization that the vast majority of parents are level-headed and sometimes stressed. This is a hard time to raise children, and we need to, express some empathy. So specific things is expressing empathy, listening first, righting our wrongs, leading with the programming that we're providing when it comes to supporting players and player development, doing things right, getting better. Those are all ways that specifically we can establish trust.
Great. That's great. Nathan, we've talked a lot over the course of these last couple days about just the change in sport. And I feel like, NIL is a big change, right? It's new to the conversation, new to our lexicon. So what do you feel like you have seen that's changed most in youth sports, and how that's changed expectations that both parents and kids have?
Yeah, there's a lot of change, as we've all talked about, that is happening in sports, but I think it begins with understanding a little bit of the athletes that we're dealing with. First and foremost, this is the first, Gen Z is the first fully digital native generation, meaning that they're more likely to go to TikTok to look up and get information, or YouTube, than they are to go and turn to a parent even for certain things and stuff. They are very digital native. They also are much more likely to engage their social network for decision making. So the environment, the experience in which they're growing up has changed. They're also growing up in a time in which higher education costs have escalated, and they've heard from parents, adults, and others in there that, wow, college is expensive. Wouldn't it be great if you could offset that? They're feeling the pressure of performances to line up their future. And so I think the biggest changes is just recognizing the environment in which they're growing up and they're participating in your programs in.
Yeah, that's true. Rodrigo, talk a little bit about what you're doing in Virginia, how you're customer-centric, and how you're thinking about parents and kids as your customers.
So there's a saying that the customer is always right? And sometimes it's hard to define what that really means. So what we like to say is that that's a mindset that we need to have, and it's not just a statement. So as an example, a couple of weeks ago, we ran in this big youth volleyball league, 1,000 players coming to our facility, and we like to make sure we know who is coming to our facility so that if something happens, it's safety things, right? So registration is required. And then through that, we ask for some donations, if they will, donate for a program or for a grant or something. Well, what happened was we were getting feedback that people didn't like that process. They were getting really upset. So that happens the first time. And then we tried to make things better. It happened the second time. We tried to make things better, and it happened the third time. So I had a meeting with my team, and I asked, okay, 3 times, something's happening here. We need to figure that out. And their first reaction was like, well, we're trying our best. We did everything we could. The customers are just mad at us, and they keep calling us, this process is dumb. And I said, okay, well, we are not doing everything we can. And like, well, we are. I said, we are not. We are. Well, we had a meeting after say, okay, let's have a meeting and let's look at the process together. And I said, but before we start this meeting, I want you to look at this as the customer is there trying to see their kids playing volleyball, and they're just there to enjoy the experience. There might be something that we need to do better. Maybe we need to put speakers all over the facilities, like the airports. Please, this happens because of your security. Maybe we need more signs. Maybe we need to send an email earlier. And I'm like, if everybody's on that mindset, now we might get somewhere. So we use a different system for events and not league apps, just like Eventbrite or something like that. And then we start looking at the system. In 30 seconds, my staff was like, oh, we missed this. And then we change in 5 minutes the system, how we're working behind the scenes. And on the weekend, everybody's like, wow, you guys did a great job. There's no lines. We love coming to this place. And that was it. And so looking at things that the customer is there to have a great experience, and it's our job to run circles around them when it comes to their expectations and things that could go wrong. That's our job to make sure we can deliver the best experience.
Yeah, that's great. Skye, let's talk about kind of, you mentioned, you used the word boundaries. So setting expectations, setting boundaries for parent behavior, like on game day, but also around game day too. What's important to think about with that?
Absolutely. So I think that we need to start reframing the way we're engaging with parents. And we've had a lot of success with requiring parent education. So if we're thinking about setting expectations, requiring parent education. We have clubs that are doing that are nervous, that are like, we can't do this. This is going to get some pushback. And the response that we're receiving is gratitude. We're hearing from parents that they want to have clarity and expectations because they're just as frustrated about the crazy sports parents as we are. And so if we can take a stand, if we're thinking about game day and sideline behavior, we have a 15-minute course. 62% of parents that take our course say their sideline behavior improved. And my favorite statistic from that is that 32% of parents that take the course say their relationship with their child improved as a result of taking a 15-minute course where we're focusing on the difference between supportive and distracting behavior. Not even talking about hostile behavior, because that's the crazy ones. So instead, we're focusing on supportive and distracting. So I think to answer your question specifically, is like we have to get intentional, and we have to, understand that it is our responsibility to provide a positive game day experience to players, referees, officials, obviously players, coaches, everyone. That is our responsibility, and it's possible.
Yeah, certainly. Rodrigo, I'm going to jump to you. How are you thinking about parents? How are you thinking about kids? And what's been your experience like that for your game days as well?
For game days?
Yeah.
So on game days, what we try to do, one thing that we saw at the very beginning, setting the expectations right makes the long-term experience a lot better. So what do I mean by that? Going to big conference events with a travel team that's not supposed to be a travel team is going to create a lot of issues. So in the past, we would go with a lot of tension to a game day because we didn't know what kind of results we were going to get on Monday, the phone calls, the emails we're going to get. Now we feel pretty good that once we set up the program, the product that we're going to sell to the customers, that we are setting up and delivering the right product to them. What does that mean? We average every kid in the program, and then once they be part of the team, if that team doesn't have the average that we think is the average they're supposed to have, we don't form that team. We say, sorry, we are not going to form that team because the tournaments I'm going to be offering you, the game days, are going to be the game days are going to require a certain type of skill, and I don't want the parents to come back and say, I'm disappointed. I don't feel like we should be here. Yeah. Or I don't want them to be a higher level team on a lower level event. So it's all about collecting data, understanding your teams, and delivering the right expectations.
That's establishing trust. That's exactly what he's intentionally doing, is making decisions so that you're potentially, you righted your wrong before the wrong happened. We're thinking ahead and what we can do to create a positive experience. So that's great. I love hearing that.
Mondays are a lot better nowadays because we're just having conversations about how to make sure the next experience is the best versus all those inquiries coming back, which they are right. They are right. Usually, the most likely they are right.
So, so Skye, is it, how do we think about being proactive versus reactive, or do we have to be both, right? How do I get ahead of these issues, but how do I also appropriately respond when there are issues? What's the right balance there to think about?
I think that that the research is extremely clear on the benefits of parent engagement. There is a lot of well-sourced research, and when we look at parent engagement programming in schools and what effective parent engagement programming in schools does to schools, heightened test scores, improved motivation, kids stay in school longer, parents are satisfied, teachers are satisfied, parents are empathetic. If we look across youth sport, we're solving a lot of issues if we get ahead of it. So I think that we need to stop looking at the problems and instead focus on the solution, and the end result will be a better environment for everyone. We're seeing this happening. And I've heard stories about great clubs that are doing wonderful things within the organizations that don't have as many issues as others do. So, of course, we need to have very clear policies in place to protect the learning environment for our children when it does come to behavior issues or things like that. Absolutely.
Do you want to add on to that?
You talk about TikTok, Instagram. What they do, they collect data on everything you do, and they deliver what they think you're going to consume, right? Are you collecting enough data on your kids so that it's like having a conversation with them through data? Do you know how to use the League Apps API, for instance, so that you can collect data on a live collecting data? Are you using any tracking system that when you have a conversation with a parent, you say, your athlete needs to get better at passing, hitting? They want to know. They want information. and then they want education, and then they are happy. So if you're not collecting data, you're not having that conversation. It's hard to be one person talking to 3,000 people, but I can collect 15,000 pieces of data so that I understand better who I'm delivering the product to, and that's why Instagram, TikTok do it. If you don't do it, you're losing the battle. That's it.
That's true. We heard of that a lot yesterday as well. Nathan, when we're talking NIL, like how young are we talking? Like are you dealing with parents, or are they 18? Like where do you fit in this? Where is that?
We primarily work with college-age athletes, but we are engaging more and more with conversations with parents. And the reason is I want to back up a little bit too. As a parent, I like to believe that I was level-headed and wasn't all bad and was coming with good intentions, right? And parents, for the most part, understand they are not wanting to limit the future success of their kids. Their biggest concern is I hope I don't screw it up and limit them for a lot of parents. And the NIL has entered into this space right now. Most college athletes are not full tuition, room, and board athletes at the collegiate level. And so the parents are now going, hey, does NIL play a space in us shrinking the gap between what that athletic aid maybe will pay for my daughter or son and the rest of their cost of college? Should I be doing something with that? I don't want to saddle them with a big debt. I don't want them to miss out on an opportunity to do things that may help them in their future. And 57% is the number that's in most surveys of Gen Z say that they, if given a chance, would like a career as an influencer. They would love to create content as a career if given that chance. And so why they like that is fun, flexibility, and the ability to earn. And so parents are going, well, if that's what my kid's interested in, how does sport play into that? Is that a platform to help them launch in their other interests?
That makes sense. So I don't know, this question's kind of for all of you, but if I, as we heard from Matt previously, right, I'm an organization and I'm saying, here's my values, here's this, right? I also got to make money. And I'm going to be honest with a kid and say, this is where you could fit, da-da-da-da. Parent's going to go down to the next club and they're going to say, no, we're going to get him an NIL deal. We're going to get him into college. Like, how do I deal with the pressure to stand by my values when so-and-so down the road will tell parents anything they want to hear just to get them in the door?
It's a great question because, and little story, when we started changing things around to make things better where I was, halfway through it, other organizations start saying to parents and said, hey, NBVA is not the place that you finish, the place you start. And I was like, wow, they're saying that? I was like, yeah. I'm like, awesome. There's a lot more people that don't know how to play volleyball than people that know. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, send them to me, and then in the long term, if I get it right, the experience is perfect, that they go from the beginning to end, great. But at the beginning of the day, we are gonna focus on our business model is like, we provide volleyball as a product, and whatever that product calls for. Youth leagues, my youth league's 1,000 kids long. My club volleyball is 144. Used to be 700 kids. So I just tell my staff if that's our goal is to provide volleyball as a product to the audience that we feel is the one that we can help the most and keep them the lifetime value, LTV, in the organization, keep improving that year after year. And we're getting there every year, trying to get some data and understanding what things we can make it better to keep them within the organization. But if you start the other way around and you start with a high level and you try to go back, you can't go back. Right. People don't get younger. People don't stop knowing volleyball, you know? Yeah. So.
I also think this is where we need to pause and say a handful of parents are club hopping. But if we do our part to establish a sense of community within our organizations, then that will happen less and less. So instead of focusing on this problem and spending our time and energy thinking about that and trying to solve the crazy parent that's gonna club hop everywhere, let's instead spend our time and energy collectively creating a sense of community. And there's great research about that as well. From McMillan and Chavez, Dr. Eric Legg at Arizona State followed up with how we establish sense of community within our organizations for parents. And it's group membership, it's influence, it's need fulfillment, it's emotional safety, it's setting boundaries. Like, these are all clear things that we can do as organizations to create a sense of community and a strong connection to our sporting organizations so that maybe that happens less and less. And again, it's speaking to the level-headed and sometimes stressed parent, not using the crazy sports parent as an excuse for not engaging the vast majority of parents at our organization that will, when we give them some agency and some voice and some space, they will rise up and create a wonderful community that our kids can thrive in.
Nathan, you alluded to this earlier, but we learn differently now, right? We have YouTube instead of encyclopedias or teachers or coaches to tell us how we're supposed to operate in the world. How do we deal with this shift? Do coaches need to coach differently? Do we need to change, or do we need to fight against it?
Yeah, I don't know that there's one set answer with that, but I would say that understand that kids are looking, when they're playing sports, they're looking for engagement. They want touches. They will go and look at highlight reels and YouTube clips and other things to learn a lot of the technique. It's you finding ways to facilitate and give them a chance to deploy what they're learning. Esports has risen in popularity in a big way, and one of the reasons, somebody earlier on the panel talked about freedom within a framework. And really, esports provides young people with that opportunity to have freedom to learn, experiment within their sports, within a framework where they're getting real-time feedback while they're doing. And so I would just understand that that's the mindset they're coming with in shaping how you run your practices and different events for them.
Yeah. Skye, what's the Sideline Project?
So the Sideline Project is an intervention that is working to improve sideline behavior. As I mentioned the statistics earlier, it's a 15-minute course. We focus on educating parents on the difference between supportive and distracting behavior. So the coaching in the moment, go to the ball, pass to this person, shoot, score, whatever the stress of parents. It's also a couple of, and so it's a course that parents take. They do a little reflection. We ask them within the course to, we give them some question prompts to talk to their child about sideline behavior. Do you hear my voice? Do you want to hear my supportive voice? Do you want me to be quiet? Do you hear your coach? How does that make you feel? So parents are having a conversation with their child about sideline behavior. And then, we follow up the course with what I wanted to get to about what clubs can specifically do. We've started this program called a pregame huddle. It's a 1 to 2 minute meeting that a coach has with the parents on the sideline, on the side of the court, whatever, just prior to a match, with a quick reminder about supportive and distracting behavior, and also what they've been working on in training. It's the moment, if you're a parent, how stressful it is just before a game. You try not to give the pregame talk in the car when you're going to the game with your kid, and you put your chair down, you watch every moment of the warm-up. The parent's stress level is rising, so it's a moment to actually break that cycle and for the coach to come over and give a reminder to parents. So it's something we're really, really proud of. It's an all-sport platform that we've launched through Soccer Parenting.
That's great. I love it. Okay, we're getting close to time, but I'd like to have you each, and I'll start with you, Rodrigo, give some advice to this group of youth sports leaders who are trying to be relevant and engaging and grow and do all of the right things for their communities and their kids and their parents.
I would say the most objective advice I would say is if you don't know what a CRM is, customer relationship management tool, get familiar with it and get one. That's an objective way to talk about this, because if you have a coach that can talk to a kid and then, or a parent, and they give them feedback about something that was happening, and all of a sudden the same parent is going to talk to the front desk at your facility, and they don't know, maybe the parent's having a bad day, the kid is having a bad day, and that all doesn't go into a system that communication is integrated, then you're going to miss opportunity to create a great experience. Usually, in my organization, the people that at first are having a bad experience, when they do have a great experience, they become our biggest advocate. And having somehow a customer relationship management system could be a Google Sheet, could be Airtable, could be Salesforce if you want to get really fancy about it, but make sure that you have that process in place. And that's a very objective way to look at it. CRM, customer relationship management, have one. So
that's great.
I would say, we heard Dahani Jones talk about it. I want to do different things. I would say recognize that your athletes don't want to be boxed in and put into a box of that I'm just this in the sport. Yeah. I'd also say embrace that maybe one of the things that could be a real positive coming out of NILs is embracing the fact that there's a lot of talent in your clubs that goes beyond just that sport, that you maybe can find some creative ways to deploy that benefit your club too. I'm a board member of a large volleyball, basketball club, and I can tell you right now, those 600 volleyball players this year, they go to that Instagram account to see if they made it or not. And we have some adults who are running that don't do a great job of getting that content created out there. And you've got all of this digitally native, great content creators sitting in your club. Tap into them. That's just one example. View the athlete, if we're looking at the parent as a customer, view the athlete as a partner in creating a great experience for that parent. Involve them where you can. They want to have a voice, and they don't want to get boxed in.
So what are like some probing questions if I'm a sports leader? Like, what should I ask the parents or the kid? Like, do you want more content? Like, what's the questions to ask?
I think you could simply engage in conversations with your athletes and ask them, put out a survey even. How many of you would love to learn some skills related to content creation? What are some areas that you have? Do you have any ideas on how we can improve the experience, live streaming different things, doing different techniques that they want to experiment with? My daughter's playing college beach volleyball. They had a scrimmage last night. I watched it on the live stream that she set up, not the coach. She set it up. And so involve them in the process of what's going on. Ask them what they're interested in. And also recognize, I'll say this too, see who's influencing them. We talked sponsorship here. Charlotte Hornets, their New Jersey sponsor. Anybody know who that is? Feastables.
Taylor Swift?
Right? Feastables. Started by somebody who's very influential in the Gen Z world, Jimmy Donaldson, better known as Mr. Beast. Content creator on YouTube who now launched a brand that is now the jersey sponsor on the Charlotte Hornets. Your athletes are very interested in, hey, how do I get involved in that? So maybe involve them in your content.
That's great. Good advice.
I guess my advice to you all, I mean, woven into the fabric of our organization and within the 200 clubs that we're working with across the United States and state associations and leagues, is this sense of optimism. Is that if I could leave you with one thing, it would be to really believe that parents can be a solution to what we are faced with in youth sports, and that we can start with that in mind. We've talked a lot this last couple days about our youth sports culture. And if we want to change our youth sports culture, we have to collectively and intentionally create a counterculture that parents can gravitate towards. So we need to think about what that counterculture looks like. And it's up to you all. You're all the boots on the ground that are impacting the lives of these kids in tremendous ways. And it's up to you all to be intentional about establishing that counterculture that the vast majority of parents in your organization will welcome and appreciate. And we can watch the kids stay involved in sport longer and thrive in life and learning those life lessons when we do.
I mean, let's just drop the mic on that one right there. Rodrigo, Nathan, Skye, thank you very much. Big round of applause. Thank you all. That was great.